Well, I wanted to share some ideas with you, and I put a lot of thought into this, and put it in note form so I wouldn't miss a thing. First of all, I want to acknowledge the people that went before you, whose place you have taken, who came here and dreamed and worked. They baked cookies, they made casseroles, they gave their money in proportion to what they had. They rolled up their sleeves, they dripped with elbow grease and sweat and blood and tears, blood from the little blisters. And they worked hard to make this all happen, knowing that as they were doing that, they were growing and nurturing themselves spiritually, and they did that. And they also knew you were going to come and take their place and be here. And then they strongly believed that as you gave and you took your turn and you did your part, that you would sweat and have the blisters, but also the satisfaction and the growth that comes from applying yourself and choosing to be a part of something and jumping in and doing it wholeheartedly. And then they knew that when your time was done and your accomplishments were complete, that someone else would come and take your place and build on the foundation and the work and the support and the love that you have put into this. So I want to acknowledge all those, and if you could have seen them and how they looked and how they dressed and the cars they drove and the work they did and the kids they had and the love that they had for this unity philosophy and for our community and for each other. It was a magical experience. It was a 38-year chapter of my life that I'll always cherish. And it was all possible because people came together of every kind of person with all kinds of beliefs and all kinds of history and all kinds of dreams. And they all encouraged each other, and we saw miraculous things happen. And this is what I think is the magic of church work and being in church and committing to be a part of a congregation and to show up. So I would encourage you to remember those that have gone on before us and appreciate the legacy that they have left you to maintain and build on, and also to think about being here as often as possible. Because when you're here, the minister does a better job because there are more people and more energy coming. And when you're here, others that need support and need to not feel alone and that they're on this quest and path all by themselves, they need you here. So, and we grow together. It's a phenomenal thing. Oftentimes, I like saying this because I say it so often, but the minister or the musicians, while they're doing what they do, they act as a light as a lens that refracts the light. And who you are, what you're going through, and all of your successes and dreams bounce off of that refracting lens to others, so that others get what you've got, your success, your frustration, your overcomingness, your victories, your dreams coming true. And then that empowers them to say, I can do this. My dreams can come true. And then when it's all over, everybody shakes the minister's hand and tells him what a wonderful job he did. But really, it was what a wonderful job everybody did by showing up. And who knows what you can receive while you're here. And if you miss it, then you didn't get it. You didn't receive that day. So I would encourage you to show up and bring your friends and let them see this part of your life. And that will help them understand you a lot more. Well, one of the things that we did together was as we built this sanctuary, we made donations, and each person bought a square, and they had the opportunity to choose their favorite color, and the squares were of different prices. And then you probably know that recently someone bashed in one of the windows and it was broken and had to be covered up with a piece of plywood that wasn't attractive. And then the Alpine stained glass who did the windows originally. They're a business that's here in El Cajon. They repaired the window. And what this does, and I'm talking this morning, the talk's already started. I'm talking this morning about your thinking and how powerful you are as a thinker, and how you have the power to look at what's going on for you, understand what your feelings are about it, and then go back to your headquarters of your brain and figure out what you're telling yourself about this, what your story is about it. Then you edit that story to make sure that this is what you want to have in your resume that vibrates out, that everybody else reads every time, all the time, wherever you are. And then if that's not what you want to be projecting into your life that comes about as results, then you want to edit your story and change your thinking. So when something bad happens, we can either choose to feel, but our thoughts govern our feelings. So we can think, I live in an unsafe world. I live in a world full of mean and bad people. But if you don't want to live in a world with mean and bad people, and you don't want to live in an unsafe world, you have to come up with a different story. And what you speak about, you bring about. So if you come up with a different story, and that's your story, then, and you're sticking to it, then that's how it works out for you. So that a person who thinks that this is a bad and dangerous world has to be on guard, and they have to have alarm systems and keys and all this stuff and guns to protect themselves, because they're always on the outlook. And because that's where their consciousness is, then they're going to attract all kinds of bad things. And then they become news junkies, and they see, just like I said. So, but those who change their thinking and choose to see things differently have different, more positive results. So when I heard about the window being broken, I asked Reverend Brian if he would please give me some pieces of the glass, which he did. And then I took them and made them into little things. I don't know whether they're ornaments or whatever they are. And so I think there's a lesson here that says, when something bad happens and your life shatters, you pick up the pieces and you make something beautiful of it. And so each of these is a little prism that from the glass that was broken. And so then, being concerned and needing it to be repaired, the word went out that would you all please take care of your spiritual home, and would someone, all of you, pitch in together and let's get this fixed. And so before everyone could leap on the bandwagon, it pulled out, because two gentlemen who are here this morning took care of the project. They made a donation to completely cover the cost, and it was expensive, of repairing the window. And so they are Mike and Michael, and I would like for you to come up, because I have a gift for you. And I asked them if they would please come up, and then to show them your arm, I twisted. So, turn around so we can all see you. This is Mike, and Michael. And these are purple, and these are blue, and I'd like for you to take one. Wow. And so you can, any one you want.
I took the one I was going to
See. And you're both purple.
We're both purple.
Okay. And then, so now we didn't, we really appreciate your generosity, but also you gave because you love this place and it's your spiritual classroom, and you could do it, so you did it. So thank you very much. We really appreciate that. Thank you. You're very welcome. Thank you. And now then, the rest of these and more that I made these. I do stained glass too. So the rest of these are available for a donation. And the donation can't go to the window because that's all taken care of. You weren't fast enough. So the donation will go to a protective, beautifully designed iron fence that will go here with bars so that you can see the beauty of the church and the light can still get in, and so that things like that won't happen in the future. And we're doing that not because you're doing that, not because it's an unsafe world, but because we want to help people that would do bad things be good and keep things out of their way. That's why you lock your car. And because we realize there are so many other people that are good and doing the right thing, that we want them to come here and help us and let us help them by being family together. So that's why we're going to build this fence thing. And these prisms, or colors of glass, will be paying for, the donations from these will be paying for and starting that project. Okay, now then one other thing I wanted to tell you about was as being the minister here for 38 years was a privilege and a pleasure. I really enjoyed it. And so that I could have the income that I wanted, I did weddings on Saturday because I had the spot for it. And everyone benefited from it, our volunteers, our musicians, our soloists, and it was delightful to get to do that. I married more than 4,000 couples. That's a lot. Well, and then from that, I had an income that was a blessing for me, so that I didn't have to have a big income from being the minister. So everything was just as wonderful as it could be. And looking back, that's about 16,000 bridesmaids and best men, and about 8,000 flower girls, and 4,000 photographers. And you know how they can be. What? And then we had receptions in the hall. It was just delightful. And the congregation then, that was, and in business they say if you can get somebody to walk in your door and they've driven, parked, and walked in, they'll be back, even if they don't buy anything the first time. So I married you too also. Who else did here that I marry? Oh God. Well, I'm glad. Congratulations to all of us. But the congregation then there would be hundreds of people here on Saturday, every Saturday, and then there'd be our congregation would come on Sunday. And not only did I do a lot of weddings, but I did a lot of memorial services. And many of the people that I did the memorial service for were parts of our church family. I loved those people, and they loved me, and it was real hard to make it through a service without, getting all emotional about it. But I was managing my thinking so that although I had lots of feelings, I didn't blow it. So, and many of those people their cremains are in our quiet garden. And I don't know if you know about the quiet garden, but it is part of my assignment this morning to tell you about it. It is a place where cremains can be placed in the ground and at the base of rose bushes, and the idea is that those cremains dissolve into the earth and come up back through the roses as flora and fauna and fragrance and life, so that when the families of those who have passed on think about them, they see them being a part of this life cycle, and it's comforting to them. And there are books of life that are huge, big marble slabs with names of everyone who is either their cremains are interred there, or they lived and their name is recorded someplace on the planet. And an effort is being put into reviving the quiet garden and making it bloom and beautiful and fragrant and lovely. And so if anyone would like to help out with that, there's openings, and there'll be brochures and things about that in the future. And if anyone is just dying to be having their remains placed there, That's available too. And the idea, I developed all this. And it was quite a bit of work to go through the state of California and then the county and the city to get permission to have a small cemetery, quiet garden. So, but we did it. And if you like gardening, but you don't have a place to have lots of roses because of the space that you live in, you could come and tend to some of the roses or have your own little planter box and do some gardening and have fun doing that, and that be your gift. Okay. Then I wanted to tell you about my ideas that are real concise here about your thinking. Okay, I would like for you to ponder this idea and adopt it and own it, that you are a thinker and that you can think beyond the box. I'm a thinker, and I can dream, I can see through things that are hiding, see through circumstances that are hiding my good. I can think of ways to demonstrate my good. I'm a thinker. In New Thought, we have a lot of people, this is a new term for me, that are called, that just kind of lovingly called woo-woos. They're out there, woo, love and all this stuff, you know, rainbows and love and happiness and all that. And they're very sweet, and they have a lot of feelings, and they come from and express kind of as a feeling person. When I'm married to Virginia. We've been married 28 years in December. And Virginia's a clinical psychologist, and she's all left brain, and I'm all right brained. And between the two of us, we have one really good brain. And I came home one day, and I was all in turmoil that I had created for myself because of what I was telling myself about what I was feeling. And I said to Virginia, I said, in my heart, I feel. And Virginia said, Arthur, your heart is a pump. You're not feeling that in your heart. You're thinking that. What could you think differently that would create a different feeling? And instead of, well, they said this and they did that and then they were not nice to me or something, she's helped me figure out that I could think, they're like that to everybody. They didn't just single me out so they could make me miserable. They want to make everybody miserable. So I'm not exclusive, you know. And then they do that because that's their habit. They do that because everybody is that way towards them, and they need some love. So I can't wait to get my hands on them because I'm going to hug them until, you know, that part of them is exercised or, you know, whatever. And so as I changed my thinking, my feelings changed. And then I had a more pleasant evening and next day and next week and rest of my life because I changed my thinking. And you can change your thinking about anything. The other day, I was, knowing I was going to be talking about this, I was in the living room and I was looking at the coffee table. And I'm thinking, that's a coffee table. How could I think about that any differently? You know, how could I change my thinking about that? How could I see that differently? I mean, it is what it is. But it is not what it is that is. It's what we think about what is that is. And so I looked at that coffee table and I started thinking about it differently. And I realized it is decaffeinated. It's decaffeinated. It's a decaffeinated coffee table. So then I thought, well, hey, if I can think about that differently, let's see what else I can do. So I went down to the hall to our guest room and our twin beds. They're fraternal. And then I went to the kitchen And I opened up our knife drawer and I looked at our meat thermometer, and it's not oral. So all of a sudden I realized, hey, I'm on a roll here. Not only household furnishings, but the things in my life I could look at differently. So let me share these ideas. Your thinking creates the results in your life. If you can see what you want, and we have lots of ads and promotions going on around us that tell us we need this and this and this, and sometimes we go, yeah, that's right, but I can't have that. Then we say, no, that's what you think I need, but I know what I need because I'm a thinker and I can see what would be best for me, and this is what I will think about and bring about. Your thinking creates results in your life. Thoughts and belief systems determine how you feel. So the way you think determines your feelings, not your feelings determine your thinking. It is not what is, it's what we think about what is that determines our feelings. These are important things to know. Thoughts determine feelings, then feelings lead to action. So that you can think, I can be kinder, I can be more generous, I can afford to use my time in this or that way. And then that will lead to you having more to be generous with. That will lead to you having more time because you've thought about it and you want that to demonstrate itself in your life. You can change your thinking if you have uncomfortable feelings. So if you think about something that makes you uncomfortable, and you can recognize, I don't like this feeling. I'm feeling uncomfortable. How can I change this? How can I look at this differently? How can I make this positive? Because how can I see this if my life depended on it? Because my life does depend on it. I have to have this straightened out in my thinking. Otherwise, out there, it's going to trip me up and make me look like I don't know what I'm doing, and like I'm not thinking correctly. Your thoughts act as magnets, and they attract corresponding experiences. So that if you're thinking generous, you get generosity. If you're thinking love, you get love. If you're thinking interesting, informative information, you get interesting, informative information that adds to your collection of knowing what's going on to help you share that with your friends and family. If you cultivate a loving, positive consciousness, you'll get positive feelings, loving behavior, and overall life experience that is fulfilling. You need to determine how you interpret what you see, like coffee tables. And so then here are some how-to things. One of these ways is when you pay attention to what you're thinking, then you can identify where you need to start. You attract creative energy and you draw corresponding experiences. And when you discipline your thinking, like, well, I used to think that way, but I had that talk with myself and I decided I needed to do this or that. I need to discipline and go back to that new way I'm thinking, that new principle I'm developing in my consciousness. And one of the great ways to do this is to put it in writing and carry it with you. Have it in your pocket all the time and fix it so that you can just whip it out and read it, so that it's right there on the edge of your life, because that's where you want to be living. That's where the creativity starts. Then you want to, we sabotage ourselves and our good with negative thoughts. And by thinking negative thoughts or interpreting things as negative, we put ourselves in line for damage that is self-inflicted. Then, if you can find what you think you'd like to know or have, or how you think your life would be, and if you add the powerful ingredient of belief, and you say, I think that this would be nice, and I believe this can come into being, and I believe I'm the person to put it in my life, and I believe that although I don't know how to do it or exactly what I'm talking about, that if I hold on to this thinking powerful belief, that God the indwelling presence of God in me will reveal to me what steps I need to take next and will guide me along and give me assurance and assistance along the way. And then you can believe it, and then you'll see it. Another thing to do is ask, what do I believe about this? And then have fun searching your toolbox of beliefs. I have a toolbox that I inherited from my collected when I was growing up in Texas, where that's why I talk funny. With my family that were just lovely people, and I loved them, and I believed everything they said. And for now, what they said it was true for them, but it doesn't have to be true for me. But since it came with the lock, stock, and barrel, I have to sort out. That's a cherished memory, but that's not a truth for me now. So you might look at, where did I get that? Where did I hear that? And what cliches are going around that I don't want to be a part of? And what have I been told by people? I knew a woman in church work, and she always had real funny hair. And she said a beautician told her in a beauty parlor one time that she had the most unruly hair she'd ever seen. And that woman believed that beautician instead of L'Oreal or Max Factor or anybody else. And so she said, see it? I can't do anything with it. It's unruly, just like someone told me it was, instead of how I want it to be. So what have you been told? And then how do you want to see this? How do you want to see things? How can you take something and take the shattered pieces and make something beautiful out of it? And then we need to dwell on whatever you dwell on will expand. So the more positive your thoughts are, the more expansive your life is. And as you believe it, you will achieve it. Now, Unity teaches that our leader, our role model is Jesus the Christ. He came, he thought differently, he didn't accept the way things were that were making people unhappy and robbing them of their good. He saw the possibilities of walking on water, raising the dead, inspiring and others to share with others, with the people around them, so much so that they could feed 5,000 on the feast on the mount. And he saw things differently. And he's our hero and our role model because his success, he said, could be our success if we would tune in to the same presence that he tuned into, which is God's presence indwelling in us. So we don't have to go far. We just feel it, know it's there, and think that it is there. Let it influence our thoughts and believe that it is there and believe it and then achieve it. With these thoughts in mind, let's bow our heads and close our eyes. Father, we give thanks for this time together. We give thanks for this spiritual classroom and those that have gone before us to create it, and then for the inheriting the mantle of responsibility to further it and continue it on for those that are yet to come while we grow and learn and increase our own consciousness. For the gift of this place, we give thanks. For our gifts that we give to it, we give thanks for the way that it perpetuates it. And we give thanks that in the giving of our gifts, our talent, our time, our energy, we grow. And for that growth that can be matched by no other kind of growth or awareness, for that growth we give thanks. Now bless us that we may think about ourselves as thinkers, and that we may accept the responsibility of thinking and shaping our lives. We give thanks for our feelings that report to us, but we give thanks over them that we have the power to sort them out as Jesus would through our loving thoughts and our positive thinking and our creative use of the gift that you have given us. We give thanks for this time together and for all our fellow travelers on the path, and we give thanks for the power of thought. In Jesus' name, amen.
Look to the skies above and to the mountain high. Listen to the gentle dove. Hear the ocean sigh. Breathe in the morning air. Smell the flowers sweet. Behold a sunset rare and a new dawn greet. God's love surrounds us as each new day appears. God's love enfolds us as evening shadow nears. O God, my source of inspiration, each dawn renews the beauty of creation. O God, my God, of wonder and delight, my grateful heart sings from morning until night. God's love surrounds us as each new day appears. God's love enfolds us as evening shadow nears. O God, my source of inspiration, each dawn renews the beauty of creation. O God, my God, of wonder and delight, my grateful heart sings from morning until night.